We are in the penultimate chapter of utility testing, and we're going to talk about increasing your viral coefficient. So problems we're going to solve. Well, what if your K-factor is too low? Remember, K is just a variable that represents your viral coefficient. So what if it's too low? What if you're not able to meet your success criteria or find your path to victory because not enough people are referring your product to other people? And the other problem we're going to solve is how do you improve your solution? Just like increasing the lifetime value of your customer, the best way, most effective way to increase your viral coefficient is to improve your solution. So we're basically going to talk about ways to do that as well. So speaking of which, let's get into that. The absolute best way, 100% guaranteed to increase your viral coefficient is to solve the problem better. There's no way around it. We'll talk about some ways that you can provide hints and encourage people to refer and share about your product. But you're not going to be successful at all unless you're actually solving the problem incredibly well. So if you increase your lifetime value, if you do some of the things in the previous exercise to increase the lifetime value of your customer, you will also increase your K-factor. By doing things that solve the problem incredibly well for someone, they are more likely to refer your product to other people. And that's because the world is optimized for sharing. That is one of the primary activities that the internet has enabled. All of social media is predicated upon sharing of information. Everything on a review site is about sharing information, sharing products, sharing all this kind of stuff. So the world is already optimized to share your content, share your product, share your solution. The best and most effective way to leverage that sharing potential is to make something worth sharing. So that's the best way to increase your viral coefficient. So we basically created a world where word of mouth is on steroids and people are talking and sharing all the time. So social media, forums, review sites, we talked about those. Solve the problem well and your solution will be shared. Now, that said, there are some things you can do to actually increase the likelihood and the effectiveness of any referral that you get of your product. So we'll talk about those now. So we're going to base this on the two concepts that we've talked about previously, your prompts and your offer. So your prompt, the prompt is the thing that shows up, that encourages, that just sort of brings the idea of sharing to mind for the customer. And the offer is what encourages why someone should share. Like, what's the benefit of sharing? So the prompt is basically like a trigger that makes the person think about sharing or inviting someone, and the offer is what do they get out of that experience? Why should they actually do that? So let's talk about improving the quality of your prompts. So first of all, prompts are not intrusive. So remember that your customer is using your products to solve a problem, and during that solution, executing your solution, they are going on an emotional journey. To prompt them in an intrusive way, to interrupt their journey, is to create an automatic negative emotional delta. They're diving into something, they want to do something, and all of a sudden, boom, you interrupt them with a prompt. All of a sudden, you've created a negative emotional interaction with them. So you don't want your prompts to be intrusive. You don't want them to stop sort of the momentum towards solving the problem. You want them to be accelerating. You want your prompts to be something that, like, I'm taking steps, I'm on my journey, I'm moving towards a solution, and by prompting me to share or invite others, you're actually accelerating my path towards the solution. So not intrusive, don't think intrusive, think accelerating. Second thing to think about is your great prompts are not overbearing. So no one, just like in person, you would never ask someone repeatedly in the same conversation, hey, will you tell someone about what I'm doing? Will you tell someone about what I'm doing? Will you share this? It becomes overbearing, right? It becomes needy and really gives off a negative vibe. Like, why are you asking me to tell everyone about you? This is weird. So it shouldn't be overbearing. Instead, prompts should be intriguing. They should be at a frequent enough pace that someone doesn't forget, but it should be intriguing, like, oh, interesting. I hadn't thought about sharing in this context or inviting others. Or it's been a while since I've thought about sharing this. Or now I'm in a new position where there might be more people that can benefit from sharing this. So avoid being overbearing, avoid being pestering, don't be the needy friend. Instead, create intriguing opportunities for them to share your product. So let's talk about what that looks like. So what I want you to do is, for step one, I want you to write down an example of an intrusive prompt. I want you to think about, in your solution, what an intrusive prompt would look like. So when would a prompt, this is particularly when would an intrusive prompt come up? So in my case, thinking about some exercises that someone was going to fill out, an intrusive prompt might be immediately after logging in. So if you are accessing these exercises and immediately after logging in it says, hey, go tell other people about this, like that is interrupting their workflow. Someone has come on, they've logged in so they can do some exercises, make some progress, and then I sort of interrupt their workflow by immediately asking them for a favor to share. After that, I'll talk about all of these first. So first we're going to do something intrusive. We're going to come up with an intrusive one. Then we're going to replace that with an accelerating one. What's an accelerating prompt? Then we're going to write down what's the copy. So this is the first phase, like when do these prompts come up? And then the copy is what text is going to accompany this prompt. And then we'll worry about the emotional delta later. Okay, so intrusive, we come up with our intrusive prompt immediately after login. Now we want to come up with the accelerating prompt. So what prompt is going to actually accelerate someone's solution to their problem? And well, that's not right. All right, our accelerating prompt is going to be at the end of a chapter. So when someone is actually, the alternative to doing it as soon as they log in is, hey, once they've finished a chapter, if they want to sort of accelerate that success, or they want to mark their achievement, maybe now is a good time to accelerate their solution, accelerate solving their problem. So all I've done, similar ideas, just moving it to a place where it's actually going to accelerate and sort of help them celebrate their achievement. So the copy in this case would be something simple like, how's your focus? So it's an opportunity, it's an encouragement to share, like, hey, how's your focus? Are you feeling focused? Is there something that you want to share with your community or with other people and talk about things? Are you having a rough time? Do you want to go ask for help? So this is just a place, what I thought is the trigger, sort of when this is going to happen, and thinking about it in an accelerating way, and then the copy, what copy is going to elicit something that's going to help someone solve a problem. So notice this copy isn't saying something like, hey, please share this with your friends. This is something, it's focused on the actual customer, and it's focused on helping them solve their problem, and it's asking the open-ended question, simply, how's your focus? All right, so next up, let's talk about what an overbearing versus an intriguing opportunity to prompt someone is. So overbearing might be at the top of each exercise. So overbearing would be like, okay, you've logged in, you've picked an exercise, and then boom, first thing you see is like an encouragement to go share this with someone else. So instead of again, they're in the middle of doing something, they want to go achieve something, I don't want to be intrusive, I certainly don't want to be overbearing, asking all the time. I might do something like immediately after their purchase. So an intriguing opportunity is like, oh, hey, interesting, I hadn't thought about this, but yeah, I've just purchased this thing that helped me get to find my focus. Maybe there are other people out there I know who would also benefit from this. So, so it might be something like, the copy could be, congratulations on finding your focus. So congratulate you, the customer, on taking steps to go and solve this problem. It is something that they want to celebrate, or there are other people out there that they think could find their own focus, then this is something they might want to share. All right, so that's how we take intrusive and overbearing prompts and make them accelerating and intriguing instead. Moving on to offers, let's talk about how to improve your offers. So to improve offers, you want to remember that your offers aren't about your product. No one cares about your product. They should be about the problem. So you want to make an offer, an opportunity for someone to share, and the reason why they should share your product. You want to make it about solving the problem better. So it's not about your product, it's not about, hey, go tell everyone about this feature, but it's about telling them about solving a problem. You also aren't focused on bringing you customers. no one out there wants to do your job for you. No one wants the additional problem of helping you solve your problem. They've got their own problems to solve. So your offer should not be focused on trying to help get you customers. Although that's ultimately what you want, you're not going to get it by asking someone else to do a favor for you. Instead, what you want to focus is on helping the referrer, helping your customer solve their problem better by sharing it out. So you want to highlight those situations when this is going to actually help them to share and refer your product. Also super important, it needs to help the referee. The idea where you're trying to help the person referring your product but offering nothing to the person that you're referring to means that you're going to turn your customer into like a sleazy salesperson, and ultimately they aren't going to do it, and B, they're going to lose friends in the process. So if you think about the early days of social gaming on Facebook, where people were posting about, hey, will you do something to my farm, or will you give me some sort of tool, or feed my ducks, or whatever, or mafia wars, all these kind of examples of people like pestering you to do things. It became very annoying very quickly, because there was nothing beneficial to the person on the receiving and the person being asked to do something. So, and you're also familiar with this, when someone gives you an offer where like, oh, hey, you tell you about a product, and then later on you found out that they got some benefit from giving you the product, but you didn't get some benefit, then it's a weird relationship and you feel like you've been sold to. So you definitely want to make sure you're helping both the referrer, or the person telling you about your product, and the person being told about the product. All right, so let's take a look at what some good offers are. Now, this is just an exercise. This entire exercise is about brainstorming different possibilities, and we'll go and prioritize these later. But we're going to walk through a bunch of different scenarios where you might be able to have an interesting trigger where an offer could come up, some sort of action that it'll take, and then what that copy might look like in my example. So, what's a way that you can offer someone a way to celebrate their success? So how can you, again, moving away from the actual product, but how can you help them celebrate their success? So one trigger for my example would be if someone completes one of the books. They complete Finding Early Adopters, Off-Testing, Currency Testing, Utility Testing. Once they complete one of these books, that's an opportunity to help them celebrate their success. So what would copy look like that can help them do that? Hey, like after they finish their first book, Finding Early Adopters, offering them an opportunity like, hey, you found your customers, congratulations, this is really awesome. It's time to celebrate. So offering them a way to celebrate by sharing on social media creates an opportunity for them to celebrate their success and moves them on their emotional journey in an awesome way. So again, it's not about like, hey, go tell your friends, it's about you, like help celebrate your success. You've done something monumental and taken a step towards your victory. Let's celebrate and relish that. All right, so asking for help is another great opportunity to actually improve the experience with your solution by encouraging people to share your product. So in my case, a trigger might be during solution ideation, where there's a bunch of brainstorming on different ways to solve a problem. This is an opportunity for someone to ask their friends for suggestions. So I can help my customer by encouraging them to ask their friends and engage them in a brainstorming process. And this not only helps them, but it also, of course, encourages them to talk about the exercises they're going through and where they found it and all that kind of good stuff. So it's a win-win for everyone involved. And then what the friends get to do is the friends get to benefit by brainstorming and having an impact on the thing that their friend is working on. And everyone loves to help their friends achieve something that their friends are passionate about. All right. Number 5. Here we're gonna, if someone wants to demonstrate their expertise, it's often really fun to, if you have expertise in some area, to be able to share that with others and help other people. So what's a trigger, what's a time that a customer might be able to share their expertise with their friends? So if someone, let's say for example, completes a currency testing experiment, this is a really interesting experiment where someone has gone out and actually asked for currency. So there's always going to be some really valuable learning that comes from that. So once someone completes a currency test, I can offer them, hey, what did you learn? Share it with your community. So maybe it's other founders that you're going to share with, maybe it's people in your accelerator, maybe it's people in your social network. Currency testing is always super fascinating. There's always really interesting nuances there. So offering someone the opportunity to share that with their community is, again, a win-win for everyone involved. Another opportunity to trigger someone to share in a mutually beneficial way is in a way that's going to create better interactions. A lot of people, a lot of virality comes from having a better interaction with someone else. So you see this all the time in social networks. This is why social networks are naturally viral when they are successful. It's because people want to have a better interaction. They want to either share photos in a better way, or talk to each other easier, or talk to each other for less money, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to create a better interaction. So what's an opportunity that you can create a better interaction between your customer and one of their peers or friends? So in my case, it might be in the declaring victory exercise. This is an incredible opportunity to ask co-founders what are their victories, to start a real conversation amongst the people within a team. So even if it's someone who's contracting, like that, the ability to create an environment where people are sort of coming together and interacting on a deeper level, declaring victory provides that kind of opportunity. All right, so helping one another. So if there's a way that we can actually assist each other, where I can give you guidance and you can give me guidance, we can create this nice mutually beneficial relationship. Think about, virality helps a lot in this way. So any sort of Lyft, or Uber, where they're giving bonuses to each other, like, hey, if I give this referral coupon to you, not only do you get free rides or a free ride, I also get a free ride too. So it's a way that we can help one another. So in this interaction, one of the triggers could be in completing the failure protocol. So part of the failure protocol is finding some people that you can talk to about your experience and your failure. And by leveraging this trigger to encourage people to talk with one another, you can create a mutually beneficial relationship between two different founders, where both of them know that they can rely on the other person to help them at least talk about and voice their hard times. So in this case, it might say something like, find another founder you can share your experience with. Like that's just an encouraging way for them to share what they're going through about their own problem, and of course the byproduct of that might be a conversation about what Focus actually is and why they're asking for help with the failure protocol. And finally, one other situation to think about, an opportunity to create an offer, is in accountability. If there's a way that you can create accountability with your solution, the best way to create accountability is with another person. And so find an opportunity where you can create accountability between your customer and someone who's not yet your customer. So in this case, let's say after defining a utility test, one of the things I can encourage someone to do is ask a fellow founder to review your experiment. Make sure you're actually testing something and you're doing it the right way. So by doing that, that person, you're holding your customer accountable, and they're doing so by asking someone else to review and give advice and feedback on their experiment. All right. So these are some examples and some brainstorming ways to actually create better offers. Now, let's talk about referral bonuses, because in none of the ones that I offer, in my example, do I offer any actual bonuses. Like, I'm not giving them anything in exchange for referring. And then I want you to notice that. So first off, let's just take note that there are no bonuses, and that you can create plenty of really engaging, interesting opportunities to share something and encourage people to refer without giving them anything tangible, right? What you're giving instead is a better experience and a better solution. So there are plenty of ways that you can encourage sharing and referrals without actually having to give anything away. That said, giving something away is incredible. It works really well, but there's some things to think about. You do this. Avoid giving away direct cash, or avoid just paying someone for a referral. In that case, what you're doing is you're turning them into an affiliate marketer, and you're giving them actual money. Now that is a way to increase growth, but it's a different strategy. That's more like a marketing strategy and a marketing channel than it is increasing your viral coefficient. So don't give away direct cash. Also, what happens when you give away direct cash is that you are creating an equation in your customer's head that says, oh, okay, if I do this amount of work, then I'm generating this amount of money. And then they're going to start doing actual calculations like, wait, what's my hourly rate for that? And like, oh my gosh, this isn't worth it. They'll start thinking this as a job, and that's not what you want. This is not their job at all. What you want to do is you want to help them improve their own solution, improve their own standing by helping other people. Okay, so no direct cash. You can give indirect cash. So indirect cash is okay. Something like Uber or Lyft, they do this incredibly well. If you what you're giving to someone is actually a ride. You're giving them a free ride up to, right now it's $20, so you're giving them a free ride. So that's not, it's an indirect form of payment, but it's still different. So instead, if I refer someone, I'm not worried like, oh my gosh, if I do this, I'm getting $20. I don't think about that. I think about, I'm getting a free ride, they're getting a free ride, everyone wins. It happens to have a $20 value. Okay, something that's not about cash at all, though, is the best. So Dropbox does this incredibly well. Dropbox says, hey, if you refer other people to our platform, we'll give you extra megabytes of storage. Now, megabytes of storage, it doesn't have any context at all in terms of money to most people. But what it does do is it only has relationship to how much they've already given you. So you get to compare and say, well, if I give me 5 gigabytes for free, and if I give away or invite someone else, I get an extra gigabyte. I get an extra 20%. Wow, that's amazing. So now what I'm seeing, the number that I'm seeing when I'm thinking about referrals is 20%, not some dollar amount. And that dollar amount is probably pennies per year to Dropbox to actually give me, but it's, so if they said, hey, we'll give you like 1 penny per year of storage, then I'm like, I don't care, that's not interesting. But 20% more storage than I had before, that's really interesting and valuable. So if you can, try and think of some offer, some bonus that has nothing to do with actual cash at all, and has more to do with the experience that you're providing. Also remember that great referral bonuses aren't focused on bringing you customers. That's not someone else's job. They're focused on helping the referrer and the referee. So just like in Dropbox, just like in Lyft, just like in Uber, the focus isn't, hey, go out and get more people so that I can become super successful. It's go out, if you share, especially in Dropbox, if you're going to share a file with someone, tell them about Dropbox so that you guys can both not only share your file, but you can also get extra usage, so you guys both win. I love referring to Uber and Lyft whenever someone asks me for a ride to the airport, because now it's a win-win. It's a win-win-win-win-win because I don't have to give someone a ride to the airport, which is just a waste of time for me for the most part. They don't have to bother someone for a ride to the airport. They get their first ride to the airport for free, and I also get a bonus ride. And so in this case, I'm not doing it to help Lyft at all as referring. I'm doing this so I can get out of giving someone a ride to the airport, and I can get a free benefit. I can get a free Lyft. Remember that your bonus should not be focused on getting you customers. It needs to be focused on how you're going to help other people solve their problems. All right, so, and of course, make sure that you give them both bonuses. Everyone needs to get a bonus, otherwise you create this weird dynamic where one person's getting something, and if you only give the referee a bonus, like, hey, if you share this with someone else, like if in Lyft, if you share this with someone, they'll get a $20 voucher. Now it's like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting, fine, that's good for them, but like, what's my motivation to share? If it was the other way around, where I'm the only one who gets a bonus, then it feels like, oh, now I'm selling. Now I have to tell them, like, hey, you should try this service, and but if you do, by the way, I get this bonus. It's much easier if it's equal, if everyone gets a bonus for doing something. All right, so with that in mind, what you should think about, now you have this list of all your bonuses, you have all your offers, all the things you can do. What you want to think of next is you want to determine what priority you should test these things in. Like, so you don't want to test them all at once. You want to test them typically one at a time to figure out which one's going to be most effective. So how do you pick which of these things that you just brainstormed, offers and prompts you just brainstormed, to actually test? So you're going to use the same thing we've been using throughout the utility test. You're going to sort of guess at what's going to create the highest positive emotional delta, and then you're going to use that offer and that prompt to determine that. So in this case, what you're going to do is you've got an emotional delta field for the 2 prompts, and you have each of these circles here. And so what you're going to do is you're going to write in a score of 1 to 5 based on how much positive emotional delta you're going to help someone achieve through this prompt or offer. So in this case, if I ask someone after they finished each chapter, how's your focus, how much emotional delta do I think I'm going to create here? And again, think back to the emotional delta you want to create, the negative emotion they're currently feeling. So in my case, it's overwhelmed, and the positive emotion I want to replace that with, which is pride. And so how much am I going to take someone from overwhelmed to pride if after each chapter I ask them, how's your focus? Score of 1 to 5, I'm going to say maybe a 2. Not very much, because it's sort of vague, it's not really actionable. It's okay, but it's not going to be super compelling. Think about our intriguing prompt. So immediately after a purchase, what could my copy, or how emotionally positive, how much emotional delta can I create if I ask them immediately after purchase, congrats or tell them congrats on finding your focus. In this case, I'm going to say it's a 1. They're overwhelmed. There might be some sense of pride here, so congrats on finding your focus, like they've taken a step towards finding their focus, so there might be some pride there. But there's not going to be a lot, so I'm going to count it as a 1. Celebrating your success, so the trigger is completing a book here, and then the copy, you found your customer's time to celebrate. So how much does that move someone from overwhelmed to proud? This one I'm going to say is a 4, because this is a big achievement. Completing any book is going to be a significant achievement for someone, and it's an opportunity to be proud of what they've done. So in that case, I would probably say that there's a high chance for creating positive emotional delta. So I'll put a 4 there. Okay, and asking for help. So I go and score the rest of these things. I don't necessarily need to explain them all to you. But basically I'm going to go through each one of these and determine what the emotional delta is, I think, for each of them. And then I'm simply going to pick the one that has the highest emotional delta. So in this case, I've got my celebrating success is going to create a high emotional delta, and I think that better interaction, so asking co-founders to come do complete a declaring victory, I think that'll also create a high quality interaction. And I actually already have this one built into declaring victory, so I'm going to focus on this one next, which is celebrating success. So creating an opportunity for someone to share out their success after they completed a book is going to be where I'm going to start my testing to increase my viral coefficient. Alright, so there you have it. Those are the steps on how to increase your viral coefficient. So the problem we've solved is what if your K is too low. We've talked about how you can go about creating better offers and better prompts to increase your viral coefficient. And then we talked about how to improve your solution. Now again, the number one way to increase your viral coefficient is to help someone solve the problem better. But we've also talked about how all of these prompts and offers, these are ways not to go, they're not predicated on you creating, getting more customers. These are predicated on creating a better experience for your customers. So with that lens, you are more likely to increase your viral coefficient. So what's up next? Well, this is the second to last chapter. So up next is, when are you finished utility testing? How do you know when you're done utility testing and ready to move on to scaling? This has been Increasing Your Viral Coefficient.